Here we are in Barcelona to continue our series of films about the most interesting and creative minds of our time. So here we are at OAB and we're gonna see what's going inside. Borja, when we met each other first, it was like at Pratt Institute. You even didn't know about that, and me either. It was like 2010, I think. Then I realized that the architecture of office architecture in Barcelona is something really special for me. But now, after I've decided to make a small talk with you, I've realized that initially you studied for biology, and after that, now you're ahead of the really good architectural company. How it happened, like from biology to architecture?
Well, it's a long story. I'm a Mediterranean guy, so all the summers we spend in the water, etc. I swim, I sail. My favorite sport is sailing.
Fishing?
And fishing, I used to do spear fishing, now I don't do it. But the scuba diving, and I watched the movie, I don't know if you have watched it, The Big Blue.
Big Blue?
Yeah,
No, I didn't.
it's Luc Besson. It's an amazing movie about a guy who goes diving in the ocean.
From 1990
Yes, something like that. And he changed my life. I watched it like 20 times. So I wanted to do something related to the sea and the dolphins. The dolphins is my favorite animal. So I wanted to do marine sciences. But then some people convinced me, why don't you do something a little bit more generalistic? And I did biology. I also watched, do you remember Jacques Cousteau?
Yes.
I was a big fan. I had all the movies from Jacques Cousteau. I watched them every day in my life. So I told my parents, I want to go to the Antarctica. I want to be like Jacques Cousteau. I want to travel around the world. And then finally I got to do biology because animals and, I loved one discipline called ethology, which is like the research of the behavior and the psychology of animals.
Yes.
So, but then when I was doing biology, I went to Philadelphia. I spent 1 year in Temple University. Then I went back to Spain in a very prestigious biology university, in Universidad de Navarra. And when I was about to finish biology,
you were something like 22 or 20?
Yeah, 22, 23, yes. And, on the same time, you have to understand like a young boy wants to try to find the path. But my father, his architecture for my father was like a religion. It was like all my life is surrounded by architecture.
But surrounded by models, drawings,
models. We went to construction site. I've been in construction sites since I was 6 years old. All his friends, all our trips, they were related some way with architecture. So it's like sucking like architecture, like milk for a baby.
Like a religion.
Yeah. So
that's why you decided to be the biologist.
Yeah. Yes. So when we were in the year 2000, my father was invited for Alvaralto Symposium in Finland. And he decided to, I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, he told me, come with me. So we went to Finland for 1 week and I met amazing architects. There was, I remember there was Winnie Maas from MBRDB.
Winnie Maas, from Holland.
Yes. There was William Curtis, a good critic, art historian. Also, so many interesting people, Juhani Palasma, Todd Williams Billitsen.
Wow, it's from New York City.
Daniel Liveskin was there, and we got a trip for 1 week, and I was, meeting all of them, talking to all of them. And
it's like a group of geniuses. I don't know, maybe you can say it because it's like a top names.
It was top. It was like a trip of like 1 week. And the Finnish people are so welcoming. They treat us, the Alvaralto Foundation, they treat us amazingly. They took us on a boat. through the lakes. And I met one person, especially one Pritzker Prize, Glenn Murcutt.
From Australia?
Yeah, and I was 21, and I started speaking with him because his leg was broken and my arm was broken. So everybody left to the sauna,
and you didn't.
We couldn't go to the sauna. So we became, friends, like a friendly talk, and he told me about his life, about architecture.
And he more or less on the same age of your father?
He's a bit older, I think.
He's a bit older.
Maybe
1939 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And I don't know, conversation with him was like life-changing.
Like conversation with Glenn Murcutt, who was from Australia, but you were in Finland.
Yes.
And you were studying biology.
Yeah, that was
one
of the reasons why, because after talking to him, the things he told me about, also he has a son, he's architect, and he told me many things about his trips when he was young. And then, when you are so close to something, and, I've been a little bit rebel when I was young, so rejecting a little bit the father authority, but that after that I switched and I say, and then I saw all these lectures, all these architects showing their work, and I felt like a fish in the ocean. I felt like this was my environment. And I'm very proud, I'm very happy. I do not regret anything about biology. It was amazing, and it gave me so much biology for my profession. I think it's something that everybody should do, no? Study a couple of things first and then decide, in my opinion. Well, as I said, the passion of my father for architecture is something that it's like a disease. It's like contagious, no?
Mm-hmm.
So I
like
think
DNA.
Yeah,
yes.
This passion, I think it was inevitable. It's when you have a father that lives the profession of architecture in such a way, you end up going around. But I think the most generous and the most important thing of that is that he allowed the people around him to have differences, and we would have our own, the word style is not a good word, but we could have our own ways of developing, of our self-achievement. So if you look at the architecture of OAB, you will see there is no style. There is a common way. There is a common way, yes. There is a common way. There is a way with principles. There is a way with working with light, with materials, with the program, with the landscape. When we created OAB in 2006, the idea is to create a family business, a boutique firm. We have never wanted to grow. In OAB, we are 15 people. Maximum we were 40 once, and we didn't like it. It was actually good that we went back to 20. We're usually between 15 and 20 people. But then, what I will tell you more maybe later is we had to change somehow, because we are competing against the biggest firms in the world, with Norman Foster, Foster and Partners, with Zaha Hadid, and they are 200, 5,000,
1,000,
yeah, 1,000 people. So we are in competitions all over the world. As I said, we have worked in 25 different countries. So our structure is the structure of a family business, very boutique, very signature, but the clients, the world demands a more professional structure. So
more corporate ruled.
Yeah, but we don't want to call ourselves corporate, because we will never be 200, I hope. And if we do, it will not be my company, it will be other people.
Yes.
But we decided very recently, 2 years ago, to create a spin-off company, which is owned in majority by OAB, but to transcend the family. So now we have 5 partners who are ex-OAB people. They are people that have been with me, younger generation, 38, and also some people that have worked with us 20 years. So we are 5 partners in ELIA. Two of them is OAB partners, and we own majority of ELIA. But ELIA is now the professional, the muscle of OAB.
I see.
So when we have to do a 2 million square meter resort or a master planning, We need the structure of ELIA, in which we have a more professional structure, more corporate, but that doesn't mean the brand or the legacy, or it's kept in OAB and the ideas, which is what I think OAB is. OAB is a laboratory of ideas. It's about creativity, and then we have another tool which is also very creative, very connected to the new technologies, digitalization, sustainability. We have industrialized construction in ELIA. In ELIA, the average age is, because I make it very high, but it's 28, 29. So we have people that they are cutting edge in Mid-Journey, artificial intelligence. They work with Revit, with Beam. Everything is technological in ELIA. And I would say in ELIA is very digital, in OAB it's very analogical.
I see. So it's like a mixing, you mixing things
but
up?
I don't want to differentiate it like black or white. They are ELIA, like 70% of ELIA's people is ex-OAB people. So we take the legacy of the Ferrater family, of Xavi and Martín, or Lucia, Carlos, and myself, and we try to bring it to the new generation, and we create a structure that will last for longer and that is adapted to the global economy we work in. Most of the projects that OAB got in the last 15 years were usually architects like you.
Like concept stage?
Yes.
Or all stages?
No, it's for instance, an architect from Mexico comes to Barcelona and is a big fan of Carlos, or it's a big fan of OAB, and has a good client, and the good client is going to build a very major scale project. And then it says, you don't have enough experience, you don't have I don't want to call it prestige, but you don't have the curriculum, the portfolio to do this big project. Why not you continue in the project looking for another architect, international architect, you bring in. So we have a lot of clients that are architects that come with their client to hire us to do a project. We have done airports, hospitals, of course, 5-star hotels and resorts. We are probably the thing that we have done the most recently, in part because of Six Senses Caplancaia, but because also Mandarin Oriental. But also we have done single family houses, we have done cities, we have worked in all the scales, in all the budgets. Another thing that people don't know much about us is that we have worked with low budgets. Like we work for NGOs, we work non-profit. So we have developed for a big client here in Barcelona, an NGO with children called the Sply. We have worked for them for over 15 years, my father particularly, with Nuri Ayala, our head of projects in OAB. And we have worked in projects that it's like 400 euros per square meter, which is very low.
Yep.
And so we work with luxury, we work with all sorts of clients, all countries. And this is what makes the laboratory of ideas unique. Yes.
The thing is, yesterday I've arrived from Isolone, from Milano, and I got to the airport, of course, to terminal number 2. Then I was looking for the way out to find the subway. I don't like taxis, I like public transportation. And then I got inside the really clean space. I just took my iPhone, making a lot of pictures. Then I saw the facade, and now I realized. And I was, while getting back to the hotel, I was looking for the architect of this airport, and I found that Ricardo Bofill was responsible for maybe Terminal 1, and I was looking for Terminal 2. Now you said that it's your job by your father.
It's Terminal 2B, so it's a small portion of the Terminal 2.
But it's really clean.
Yeah,
it's really clean.
Yeah.
And then while we were talking here, I know that your father and Ricardo Bofill, which one of the superheroes of architecture of the 20th century, were like friends or colleagues.
They have been friends for a very long time. I mean, their lives. I think it would be better if that my father explains. Unfortunately, Ricardo passed away last year.
Yes.
I know Pablo Bofill and Ricardo Jr. Since I was a child. and the lives of two architects that they have been like this. So when Ricardo left to France, they kind of disconnected, but when they were young, they were very good friends. Then Ricardo took a different path and he started doing all these giga projects in France of this new style that he got into. And then when he came back and years later, in the recent years of his last years of his life, my father and Ricardo reconnected, and I think Ricardo really needed to be in peace with Barcelona and with the architecture community in Barcelona, because for some time he got distant, and the architects from Barcelona became very critical with him. And he kind of made peace, I think, in the last years of his life, and it was great. And my father was there witnessing this, and they were again good friends and meeting together in the last years. Yeah.
And still, as an architect, as a practicing architect, I'm wondering how you're able to mix design in the airport as well as the small house. For example, in your book that you wrote, it was like called like Synchronizing Architecture?
Synchronizing Geometry.
Geometry, sorry about that.
This is my first book together with my dad.
And I saw that really beautiful small house for the photographer.
Yeah.
Yes, from 3 blocks.
Yeah.
How are you able to combine different scales, airport and the house? It's super cool.
You answer the question with the question, because you mentioned the book Synchronizing Geometry, which talks about geometry. So the reason why we think we can work and it's because of geometry. We are not theoretical. We are not a prioristically theoretical on the projects we do. It's like
a method.
It's a research by design. So every project is a blank sheet of paper.
And it's based on your research.
Yes, and during the process of design, we use geometry as a tool to find the
solution.
The solution. Of course, that's what every architect does. But the way we use this geometry is we try to find geometrical systems that are enough flexible to adapt to the program, to the client needs, to the site, to the sun, to the wind, to everything. No? So for instance, I think one of the best examples, my PhD, I am a doctor, and my doctorate...
That's my next question about doctorate.
My PhD was on geometry, actually. It's the use of complex geometrical systems in architecture. So, I mean, we are not the first ones to do it, but we have focused a lot in modern movement. No? Modern architecture from the 20th century is an architecture that works with pure volumes. But there are other architectures from the 20th century, especially in the avant-gardes, the Russian constructivism,
yes.
Melnikov, and then we have the metabolist from Japan,
Kenzo
Tange, Archigram, and so many others like Peter Cook. So we have so many examples of those architects that were trying to do alternative geometries to the postulates of modern movement.
Yes.
Instead of using Euclidean geometries, which is pure volumes.
Like Frank Gehry as well.
Yes.
It was like
Peter Eisenman, John Haydock, and the five. I mean, some of the architects from the United States. So we, in this synchronizing geometry, if you look at it, we like go for these ideographical references.
Borja, how did you get the idea in your architectural mind to put like this glass prism inside of the city center of Barcelona with this really special effect on the windows?
Well, it's again another long story, but I will try to summarize it. This building was done when there was this moment in which, you know, the Apple store in New York, the glass box, no?
Pretty clean.
Yeah, and also the Prada shop in Tokyo by Herzog de Meuron. So it was a building that wanted to be a showroom. It was supposed to be a showroom. So we knew for sure that the building had to be glass. But the thing is, we wanted to show the interior of the building, but without really seeing it.
I see.
So we wanted to create a tricky,
Silhouette.
yes, we wanted so that people would be curious. People walking in the street would say, "Oh, something is going on inside," but I need to enter to figure out
I see.
to understand what's going on inside. So it's a building that also it's about light, everything. And I think this is one of the projects in which we did a lot of research through design, and we discovered a lot of things with this glass. For example, you have refraction of the light, reflection of the light, and diffraction of the light. So you have sometimes the colors of the rainbow. You have sometimes you look at somebody on the other side of the street, and this person becomes fat and then becomes thin. Or you see one street there and it's not there, it's on the other side.
It's like a tricky things.
It's like a trampoline, it's completely like tricky, and it creates this kind of show of the city. When you are inside, you look at the city and the city.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, and the city is transformed. Then the beautiful thing I think about this that was a successful story was the light, both natural light but also artificial light. At night, the building completely transforms. It's a quiet building during the daytime. It's a kind of, not mirror building, but it's a building that does not want to call. But at night is the opposite.
I see.
The building lights itself and it shines, but not contaminating the rest, but creating a kind of lamp. It's a lamp building. And and the story about this building is a little bit like with the brothers. It's a beautiful story between client and architect. How the client Roca, which is the biggest, the world's biggest bathroom brand in the world. I believe you have Roca in Kazakhstan.
Absolutely, we do.
Yeah, so they are a multinational. So they decided this was going to be their first gallery, their first showroom. They have a lot of showrooms for products to buy, but they wanted a gallery.
I see.
So this space is not only for their product, it's also to represent the values of the company. It's also a place with a lot of public events. They do here a lot of presentation of products from other companies. They do debates of architecture, presentations, lectures, awards. So it's like a social club. It's like a social event place for design, architecture, innovation, technology.
It's like Apple Store, but Roca Store.
Yes,
Less.
yes, and it has this idea of a social building, like a multinational company opening to the city, allowing, it's a public building. You can come, you can stay, you can look at the products, but you can also look at the history. So this was the first one in the world. And now they told us, we would like you to design more around the world. And we said, no, we are architects from Barcelona. We designed the Roca Gallery from Barcelona.
I see.
If you go to London, let's open a gallery with an architect from London. So they did the second gallery, was in London by Zaha Hadid. And then they did another one in Portugal with Álvaro Siza, if I believe so.
Like number one names from all over the cities.
In Lisbon, they did with an architect from Lisbon. In Brazil, in China, with Mayan Song. And so I hope they do one Roca Almaty gallery or Astana gallery with an architect from Kazakhstan. Like
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, great. And the other question about like the fantastic idea on the walls about this acoustic material as well as like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Very good. Well, first of all, the idea of the interior design was Roca usually uses a product, ceramic, which is white most of the times. So we wanted to do the counterpoint, so we would give the protagonism to the product.
To the products.
And then it's like in the restaurant Hermanos Torres. These two projects are very related because it's
in terms
also
of the general idea.
The general idea, because there in the Hermanos Torres restaurant, everything is black because the cooks are white.
Yes.
So we wanted, it's like a setting, it's like a theater. So everything is black, so we focus in the chefs and in the plates and in the tables, which the blankets are white. Here, the product is usually white. And we wanted to neutralize the space and only work with light, indirect light. So another idea about this project is to implement technology. The project was done in 2008, and I watched the movie maybe a few years before called Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Do you know this movie? Do you know when he enters in a shop and they look at his eyes and they say, "Hello, Mr. Yamamoto" or something? Well, we wanted to create an experience. So when you enter, the building has sensors, detectors of presence, and when you enter, the light turns on here. When you move all the screens, they this. And then about the acoustic foam, again, we were obsessed with the acoustic because we have ceramic floors, we have
It always gives a lot of sound.
a lot of sound reverberation of the sound. So if we
noise.
have glass, we have stainless steel. So we needed a material. And then another very clever thing about architects is this material is only 2 euros per square meter.
So you were in the budget.
And this one is super expensive.
It is.
Because this
Stainless
is
steel.
Stainless steel. So we balanced
I
and
see.
we put 2 euros per square meter, 200 euros per square meter. So we found
Clever. A balance between
balance.
those two.
And I don't know if you feel, but the acoustics of
It's
the
really
place
good.
is really
It's like
good.
in the theater.
Yes, you feel like you're in a theater, and everything is because of this foam that absorbs and doesn't reverberate.
I would like to get several details about this staircase and about the ability to put it inside of the building because it looks so thin, but still I think it's not such a light thing to put in the building.
Definitely, I can see you're a good architect because you look at the things that Look, sometimes you look at things and they look very easy but behind there is a lot of work, a lot of effort. This stair is one single piece and was put inside the building during construction, was manufactured in a workshop and was taken here. So the whole stair, it can be that thin structurally because it's one single piece.
I see.
If we had done it in pieces, we would have to weld it here.
No detailing.
No detailing. So if we wanted to be perfect with no details, it's better and actually cheaper to do it in the workshop
And to bring it
and
here.
then bring it here. The day that they bring the stair and put it inside the building, that's the day you are sweating as an architect, and I prefer not to look.
Not to look. Great.
Yeah.
Well, great. So you have a feeling of museum, but inside it's a like regular shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a brand building. Or
Yes.
something.
Yes. So I have a museum feeling here.
This thing that chases us as architects and artists all the time, like who is behind the idea, who is the one that had this idea. I think we're too obsessed. I think that honestly speaking, most of the work that we are doing right now, honestly, it comes from a conversation with several people from different generations, etc. Yes, there is someone, of course there is someone that makes a line, but are we gonna make it like an issue? I had the idea. I did the horizontal line.
Yes.
I did the vertical line. Come on, vertical line. I mean, I remember a lot of architects. They design. They need a conversation with someone, like a sparring, like boxing. No, so they are sketching and they are talking to someone. Who is the real author? The guy sketching or the conversation and the guy who says, "I don't think you should do that," and then the guy listens and says, "Oh, okay, I changed." So I've even heard that I think Richard Roger he said it himself that he does not draw. He speaks and other people draw.
Even Jean Nouvel does the same thing.
I don't know about Jean, but yeah. So honestly speaking, there is a leader always. There is a kind of pyramidal organization, but we need to try in ideas laboratory, we need to try to make it disappear. Horizontal. However, it's not possible.
But
sometimes the pyramid needs to emerge, the pyramidal way of working of an office, but we need to minimize it to the maximum so that it feels that it's like a democratic structure, completely not democratic. The idea is horizontal.
For example, let's imagine the client comes to you, he's respect you, your dad, the history and everything, but he so felt in love in the city of Barcelona and he would like to get a neoclassical house.
Not possible.
I was wondering, not possible, why? You don't like it or what? Sorry, it's a tough question, I know.
Okay, I think the most important thing of our profession, of our job, one of the most important things. The most important is the inhabitants that
Yes.
will inhabit our buildings, that
Yes.
will use our buildings. But one of the most sacred things about our profession is the relationship between client and architect.
Yep.
And it's a relationship of trust. Okay, so I have found myself, especially in particular cultures, in which the client looks at the architect as a tool to make his vision. The vision is shared. There has to be respect on both directions. The success of the design is because of the relationship between the architect and the client. They trust each other. A very good example is Gaudí. In order to do what Gaudí
With
did,
Güell, yeah?
you need Mr. Way, who was the client. And sometimes you have clients that they trust you 100% and they let you do. For example, the AA house, it was an amazing, my father always tells me, it's the best client I've ever had in one sense. He came to the office, he saw the model, and he said, look, you know what, I don't understand this house, but I like it, so please do it. No? And then we were like, great, so now we have...
Was he a businessman or?
Businessman. Yes, very successful businessman. So he trusted Carlos, he trusted Xavi, and
delegated like the decision
yes,
to the architect.
delegated. So we always say in the office, my father always says, and I always say, that you can go as far as your client wants to go. So the project is definitely going to be depending on the ambition,
Yes.
on the likes, on whatever that the client has. It's a budget. It's many things. No,
The wife of the client.
the wife of the client. That's very important, or the husband of the
Yes.
client, because So, but what I'm trying to say is, if a client comes to us, he knows that he's going to be like, we're like doctors, and he's going to be an operation with the brain. You are not going to tell the doctor in the middle of the operation,
That's
hey,
a good comparison.
I think you should put this in another place. So they trust us and they know. They tell you what they want, and we are mediums. We always say, we suck all these ideas, all these visions, all these requirements, and then we have a stomach or whatever. It's very biological, and then we bob it. No? And what we give is a lot of parameters and things that come from the client, etc. And another metaphor that I use is we are like magicians with a rabbit, that we do a trick and suddenly we take a rabbit and they don't know how we did it, because it's very complex, and even sometimes it's very violent. Like you need to work very hard with all these ideas and then finally make out the magician. No? And then the client is surprised. How did you do it? Well, it's my job. It's our job to do it. No?
That's why you pay me so much.
Exactly. That's why you should pay me more.
Yes. Borja, we was talking more about architecture, and now we're here, and I think it's more about the interior design, isn't it?
Yes, this was a restaurant we did for the Hermanos Torres. The Hermanos Torres are very famous chefs in Spain and I think worldwide, especially in Spanish-speaking countries.
Mm-hmm.
They are twin brothers, and we did this project for them. It's an interior design with the facade. The facade, we work with an artist, a good friend of ours, Regina Saura. She's a painter, and she does this kind of paintings in walls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it represents the forest because it's the 4 seasons.
I see.
Because the restaurant is about market food, and it's a 3-star Michelin restaurant. And with the brothers, the twin brothers, Javier and Sergio, my father and I, we designed the restaurant for them. And it was interior design, but the architecture, interior, you know, mixing. Yes.
And for example, why there is only like 2 windows? I was thinking about the huge window here. You have only 2, and why is that?
That's a good question. The original project, the facade was all glass.
I see.
And then because a 3-star Michelin is a story about surprises. So the idea of having a house, and then you have to cross a threshold, and you trespass, and then you discover what is inside, needs to be a surprise.
So we cannot see it from outside.
Yeah, in the beginning it was very transparent, you could see everything inside, and then we decided, no, let's make it opaque. Let's enter inside.
Like
and
theater
then,
inside.
And the theater is inside. And you have a bar in the beginning, then you have the winery, and then you have the big space where we will show you now.
Oh, great. So let's go in and see.
As an architect, I realized that you have a fantastic interior.
Yes.
You didn't have too much budget for it, and still, you have a fantastic feel here. How did you achieve that?
Bueno, fue porque tampoco teníamos mucho dinero, sino teníamos talento, el talento de cocinero, el talento de la arquitectura, y entre los dos fuimos capaces de crear un espacio en el que lo más importante es que es un sitio práctico, los movimientos, el flujo es muy fácil, es un concepto completamente diferente, yo creo, en el mundo, y sí, y realmente OAB supo captar perfectamente nuestra idea.
I think what is amazing is how two creative teams from the world of cooking and the world of architecture, we worked like hand to hand, and they understood very well how to work with us, and we understood very well how to work with them. And it was a process that it was very special. Fue un proceso muy especial.
Sí, y tengo que decir que nosotros teníamos una idea que ellos fueron capaces de mejorarla por mucho.
The idea of the kitchen in the middle, it was them. When they came to the office, they said, we want a kitchen with a restaurant, not a restaurant with a kitchen. So the idea came, and then this is like a theater, it's like a show, and then the people, the guests, they take part of the cooking process.
Yes.
Son parte del show.
Yes.
And how long did it take you to implement this project?
I think it was like 8 meses, no? 8 months.
8 meses, sí.
Only 8 months. They came to the office, and in 8 months we opened.
So you're fast.
Sí, había un equipo muy bueno. A
Sí.
lot of very good people. A lot of companies that sponsors. Very, like everybody. It was like a team of and a lot of neurons and everybody to work and do the project.
Pero la idea principal, que yo creo que es muy importante, es que esto venía, que tú me traducirás, de un recuerdo de la infancia, de haber vivido nuestra infancia en una cocina.
The reason why this is like a kitchen with a restaurant is because it comes from their childhood. Because they lived their childhood, they lived in a kitchen with her grandmother, la abuela.
Like you with architecture.
Exactamente.
So the idea of this restaurant comes from trying to bring back, traer de vuelta, ¿no?
From the childhood.
The childhood, la cocina.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Muchísimas gracias, Javier. Y nos vemos pronto. Un abrazo. Cuídate.
And the last question, how do you able to turn off your cell phone in the evening and to let yourself be with the family? Is it possible for you?
Wow.
How do you combine all this, like two lines?
You're making the one of my daily life issues. Yeah, look, I have a great wife, I have a great children, and they know I work very hard. I am all day connected, but we have made a deal when we have dinner, when we're that, and they understand that what is very important, I think, now this is very personal, to be a good husband, a good father, and a good friend, not only, is that maybe I cannot spend so much time with you, but when I spend time with you, it's quality time.
Yes.
So my children know that. We take a trip. We went to Japan this Christmas, and I disconnected the phone. I was not for work, no? Even though some clients it's hard to understand, but I said I have my 10 days with my family, so I try to do it as often as possible. But yeah, at home, at the phone, with clients that are all over the world, that the time difference.
Zones, yes.
Yeah, I remember I had a client from India that I think she didn't know that there was a time difference, because she would call me like at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, "Do you realize what time is it now in Barcelona?" Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, but it's like the client and the architect. Both parts need to understand the situation. They are very proud of their father or their husband or that. They know I'm very busy, but we try. There's a line, and that line, it's better you don't cross it, because then the problems will start. What about you? I'm interested in knowing about how do you deal with the phone?
Absolutely,
Maybe
in
you
the
can
same
give me
way,
good
because
advice.
my colleagues are here and they know that they are not able to contact me after 6 p.m. And I'm taking my bike, and I live in the mountains, and I have 1 hour like riding bike towards mountains with no phone, just a music, and that's it. And that saves me.
That's incredible. Yes, and that's what we try to do here at OAB and ELIA. That I think the new generation understands this very well here. Like they are very highly productive. My generation is like we work 3 days without sleep, etc.
Yes, it's like our Generation Z, generation something like
we
that.
were workaholics.
Yes,
Now
and they are not.
They are not. They value their life outside the office, but when they are in the office, I would say
Productive.
they are maybe more productive than we are, maybe. Yeah. So it's important to put a line, and I think the new generations know it better than us.
And Borja, it's really interesting how your maybe habits and problems connect with ours, because we have the same one. So thank you one more time for letting us know.
Spasiba.
Spasiba.
And
Rahmet.
Rahmet. Yes.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you.